अनमोलदीप को बोल दीजिए। What is the order of brute force algorithm, Anmoldeep? It is order n cube as told. Am I audible to everyone?
Sir, your video is lagging, sir.
Yes, sir.
नहीं, मेरी आवाज सुन पा रहे हैं क्या आप लोग?
Sir, attach.
Sir.
हाँ, वो बीच में पीछे वो बीच में नेटवर्क खराब हो जा रहा है. So that is two algorithms are there. One is the brute force matrix multiplication algorithm, and other one is the Strassen's matrix multiplication. So today we will discuss about Strassen's. Today I uploaded the lecture notes, whatever lectures I taught you. Those I uploaded. So this.
Sir, your voice is lagging.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Sir, now you are audible. Sir, you are audible, but sometimes it's lagging, sir.
Yes, sir. Lot of times it is lagging your video and the audio
The
too.
college line is too big. You are not able to join.
Yeah, so today we will discuss about this Strassen's matrix multiplication. This is Strassen's matrix multiplication algorithm. You see, the brute force matrix multiplication algorithm, it uses 8 multiplications. How many multiplications brute force algorithm uses? 8 multiplications and 4 additions. If you are going for 2 cross 2. 8 multiplications and 4 additions. But if you see the Strassen's matrix multiplication, it will use lesser number of multiplications. So if X is A, B, if X is this one, take 2-dimensional array, A, B, and Y is A, B, C, D, and Y is E, F, G, H. If you multiply these two together, so first row into first column, that will be then first row into second column. Second row into first column will be the value of second row first column value. And second row into second row of matrix X into second column of matrix Y, if you multiply them together, you will get last value. So this is the value of X into Y. A is A, B, C, D. X is A, B, C, D. Y is E, F, G, H, and this is multiplication. If you see this multiplication, then it shows that how many multiplications are these in total? कोई एक बता दे. Amisa Arunya Kumar. Amisa Arunya Kumar, how many multiplications? Amisa Arunya Kumar. Anand Raj. ये देखो अमीशा अरुण्य कुमार, ये he is just online. Anand Raj.
Yes,
how many
sir.
multiplications? How many multiplications? How many multiplications are there? इसमें बताइए तो ये दिस सर्कल वन हाउ मेनी मल्टीप्लिकेशंस आ रही है
Sir, 8.
and
Sir,
how
8.
many additions 8 multiplications and how many additions
4.
4, sir.
4 additions. So this is the case of brute force, and you as you mentioned that its order is big O of n cube. So how can we go for this one? If you represent matrix brute force matrix multiplication in the form of recurrence relation. So this is recurrence relation. Amisha, can you read the recurrence relation for matrix multiplication that you will have? यही तो गड़बड़ है कि अमन वर्मा, can you read this equation? This is for brute force matrix multiplication recurrence relation.
Okay, sir.
पढ़िए भाई इसको.
Total
पढ़ता मैं.
runtime. Total runtime
अरे
of
ये जो
above
सर्कल जो बनाया है वो नहीं, ये
अच्छा.
पढ़िए इक्वेशन पढ़िए.
Tn is equals to 8 into Tn by 2 plus big O of n square, which is equal
Yeah,
to
so here 8 is representing, since brute force matrix multiplication it uses 8 multiplications, so this is why here we are writing Tn equals to 8 into Tn by 2 plus n square. And when you compute it using Master's theorem, then we will get its order as big O of n cube. This is about the brute force. Now, Strassen's matrix multiplication. What this method was given by a mathematician in the year 1969. And what he says that Strassen's matrix multiplication, it will use how many multiplications? How many multiplications will it use? कितना use करेगा ये?
7 multiplications.
7.
7 multiplications. So remember, brute force used 8 and Strassen is using 7 multiplications. So which one is better? Brute force or Strassen?
Present.
Strassen, sir.
Strassen's is better. And if you are representing Strassen's matrix multiplication in the form of recurrence relation, then what will be the recurrence relation? What will be the
T of n equal to 7 into
Abhijit Biswakarma.
Yes, sir.
T of n equals to
7 into T n by 2 plus O of n square.
Yeah, so the previous case it was brute force, it was Tn equals to 8 into Tn by 2 plus big O of n square. And this time it will be Tn equals to T of n equals to 7 into Tn by 2 plus big O of n square. So if you use Master's theorem and you compute its order. So order, will it be more than n cube or less than n cube?
Less than n cube.
Less than.
And more correct answer. And will it be more than n square or it will be less than n square? Less than n cube, but more than n square. This will be the case. And it will be, you can compute it, it will be big O of Strassen's matrix multiplication, it will be big O of n power log of 7 base 2. Strassen's multiplication order will be big O of n power log of 7 base 2. And if you go for further computing the value of n power log of 7 base 2, so this will be equal to big O of n power 2.81. Big O of n power 2.81. So this is the order of Strassen's matrix multiplication. So in Strassen's case, you are getting big O of n power 2.81. So this is big O of n power 2.81, and brute force was giving big O of n power 3. So definitely 2 power n power 2.81. It is lesser than n power 3. It means that Strassen matrix multiplication, it is better. Now you see how he did that. He assumed P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6, P7. These are 7. So A into F minus H. A plus B whole into H, it is P2. C plus D whole into E. D into G minus E. A plus B whole into E plus H. B minus D into G plus H. A minus C into E plus F. So P1 to P7, how many multiplications are there? Count kariye.
7.
Yeah, so each one, P1 has one multiplication. If you don't further break it, then P1 has one multiplication, P2 has one multiplication, P3 has one multiplication. Means from P1 to P7, each one is having one multiplication. Is it clear or not? ये clear है?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
भाई क्लास में पढ़ाया जाए और आपको समझ में ना आए,
Yes, sir.
मेरे हिसाब से उस पढ़ाने का कोई मतलब नहीं है। भाई एक आप 50 मिनट टाइम दें तो वो टाइम कुछ तो समझ में आना चाहिए जिससे वो टाइम यूज हो। So now with the help of these from P1 to P7, what you need to compute? You have to use P1 to P7 and you need to compute first this one. पहले इसको बता दीजिए। ये how can you get AF plus BH? आप लोग कॉपी पेन ले लीजिए। You need to get AF और फर्स्ट को चलिए AF plus BH. How will you get AF plus BH? AF plus BH. Use from P1 to P7 and raise your hand.
P1 plus P2.
So P1 plus P2 minus
P1 plus P2.
Yes,
yes, sir. P1 plus
P1
P2.
is giving AF minus AH and P2 is giving AF plus BH. AH plus BH. So P1 plus P2 or P1 plus P2 minus something.
No, sir. P1 plus P2 only.
So P1 plus
Why?
P2.
Sir.
All of you agree for it?
Yes,
It
sir.
means
Yes,
that
Yes.
it means that to like you see here this x into y. It means that at the place of AF plus BH, what can you write?
P1 plus
AF plus
P2.
BH, you can write P1 plus P2, where you have defined what is P1 and what is P2. P1 plus P2. थोड़ा आसान वाला पहले आपको देते हैं. Next is compute this one. How will you find CE plus DG? So I am writing here. This is CE plus DG.
Sir, P3
This
plus
is
P4.
CE. This is CE plus DG.
P3 plus P4.
How?
P3 plus
So-
P4.
P3 plus P4 minus?
Sir,
No, sir.
only P3 plus P4.
Very good. So P3 is CE plus D and P4 is DG minus D. minus D will be cancelled with plus D. So CE plus DG. It means that wherever you have this CE plus DG, it will be P3 plus P4. P3 plus P4. Now let's try to see, this is P3 plus P4. I'm writing here. Now let's try to compute this one, CF plus DH. Take this one, CF plus DH. This time you need to find, take copy pen. You need to find CF plus DH. Yeah.
P1 plus P5 minus
कंप्यूट करके बताइए
P3 minus P7.
कौन बोल रहा है? नाम बताइए अपना तो।
हर्षवर्धन.
हर्षवर्धन जी, आप कहीं से कुछ देख के बोल रहे हैं क्या कि कंप्यूट
No,
किए
sir.
हैं? Did you compute?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So Harshvardhan is saying that. What's your answer, Harshvardhan?
Sir, it's P1 plus P5 minus P3 minus P7.
P1 plus P5. P1 plus P5 minus
P3 minus P7.
minus P3 minus P7. Somebody else should verify it. P1 plus P5 minus P3 minus P7. Is it giving the answer or somebody else should verify it? Check करिए तो. Is it P1 plus P3, P1 plus P5 minus P3 minus P7? Is it giving CF plus DH or something else is being given? P1 plus P5 minus P3 minus P7. Check करिए, check करके बताइए. Raise your hands if you verify it, then raise your hands. First you compute P1 plus P5, then you go for subtraction of minus P3, and then you go for subtraction of minus P7. Take copy pen and do it. Copy pen लेके आप solve करके देखिए. Take copy pen and do it. If you complete it, if you verify it, raise your hand. This is P1 plus P5 minus P3 minus P7. P1 plus P5 minus P3 minus P7. Raise your hands if you complete it. Hand raise करिए.
और एक बुक मैंने आप लोगों को एंड्रॉइड
No one is raising hand. क्या हो नहीं पा रहा है क्या?
फिर बना रहे.
Sir, it's correct.
It is correct.
भाई हर्षवर्धन is paying more fees. हर्षवर्धन आपने ज्यादा फीस पे कर दिया है क्या कि आप फटाफट क्वेश्चन कर ले रहे हैं?
No, sir.
और बाकी लोग फ्री में पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, इसलिए छोड़ो यार, फ्री में पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, बोल रहा है बोलने दो. हाँ, so Anmol Amrit, is it correct?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So now we have computed P1 plus P5 minus P3 minus P7. It means that this one I will write here P1 plus P5, P1 plus P5 minus P3, further minus P7. I am writing it on the screen so that you could remember it. आप नोट करते जाइए. Now last one. How can we find AE plus BG? You see this one. Now you need to find AE plus BG. AE plus BG. Take copy pen and let me know. Bring your hands down. If you complete, raise your hands. If you complete, raise your hands. AE plus BG. Don't speak answer directly. If you complete, raise your hands. AE plus BG. How will you find AE plus BG? Take the help of P1 to P7. If you complete it, raise your hands. I am giving you some time. कुछ टाइम आपको दे रहा हूँ. AE plus BG. If you complete, raise your hands. After completing it, raise your hands. किसी को मिला क्या? Let me see. No one has raised hand. If you complete it, raise your hands. Now you have to compute AE plus BG. This one first, AE plus BG. Let me see that who is able to tell me the answer. First three persons जो आंसर बताएंगे, I am sure that they will get job in the initial stage. AE plus BG. You are doing or you are not doing? आप लोग solve कर रहे हैं?
Yes, sir.
हाँ तो solve करिए, देखते हैं who are the three persons. They are supposed to get job in the initial stage of your 7th semester.
ये देख लो ये साइड है, इसमें दोनों में से एक कोई
If you complete, raise your hands. I have given you the values of P1 to P7. And you have to compute what will be the value of AE plus BG. देखें कोई hand raise हुआ? Very good. First raised hand, it's Suyas Sanjay. Second one is Harshvardhan. Third is Achal. Fourth is Nikhil Gupta and fifth is Anand Raj. ये आप लोग नोट कर लीजिए, names नोट कर लीजिए, बाकी लोग भी. Now sixth one is Satrupa. So ये these hands note down. ये लोग हैं जो initial stage में नौकरी पाएंगे in 7th semester. चलिए Suyas Sanjay, what's your answer?
Yes, sir.
AE plus BG. How can we find?
So
I'm
P5
just
plus
bringing.
P6. So P5
First,
plus
you
P6
said that P5
plus P6
plus P6. Very
minus
good.
P2 minus P2 minus P4
Minus P2
minus P4.
minus P2 and then minus P4.
P4.
Let somebody else. P5 plus P6 minus P2 minus P4. Let me
No, sir.
ask somebody else. हाँ, कौन बोला नो सर, आप बताइए.
हर्षवर्धन सर.
हर्षवर्धन के अलावा कोई और भी बताए इस बार. चलिए आजाद. Achal Singh. Harshvardhan, if Achal Singh is not able to reply, then you will reply. Achal
Okay.
Singh, what's your answer?
Sir, P5 plus P6 minus P2 plus P4.
So Achal Singh is saying that minus P2 plus P4. Harshvardhan ji, Mr. Harshvardhan,
Yes, sir.
is it minus P4 or plus P4?
Sir, it's plus P4.
लग रहा कहीं से नेट से आपने देखा है और you please remember whatever material you get from net,
Yes, sir.
40% of the things they are incorrect.
Yes, sir.
तो नेट पे वो correct and incorrect things they are mixed together.
Yes, sir.
It's
But I
just
solved
like
it myself.
very good. If you solved it by yourself, then I am sure that in the starting phase you will get job through campus. But I am talking about net, that the material that which you get from internet, it is 40% things are incorrect, and correct and incorrect things, they are mixed up together. It is just like if we mix up this small stones with rice, white color small stones with rice, and we cook it. If you eat it, आपके पेट में पत्थर ही पत्थर पहुंच जाएंगे. So it's very dangerous for health. Any confusion to any one of you on this topic? So now we have computed AE plus BG. We have computed AF plus BH. It's you have computed. You have computed CE plus DZ. And you have also computed CF plus DH. So in these computations, how many multiplications have you used?
7.
7 only, because you are using the variables from P1 to P7. And we discussed previously in today's lecture that each one from P1 to P7, each one is using one multiplication. So this is within the bracket, whatever in the form of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, whatever I have written here, within this circle, whatever is written here, it is brute force method, and outside the circle in the form of P1, P2 up to P7, whatever I have written here, like this one, all these are representing the Strassen's matrix multiplication. Now this is the answer that I have here. This is your answer. This is the answer for the Strassen's matrix multiplication. Any confusion, any doubt to any one of you in this topic?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. So we will implement it when you will join offline lab. We will implement it in the lab with the help of variables A, B, C, D, with the help of variables P1 to P7. We will implement and we will see that is it giving answer or it is not giving. This is all about matrix multiplication that consisted of Strassen's method of matrix multiplication and brute force method of matrix multiplication. Now we will talk about computing the value of x power n. Now we will talk about computing the value of x power n. I think some of its part we discussed it. Computing the value of x power n means you can see just wait. Let me increase the size of screen. Yeah. If I say x is 5 and I say n is 3, it means that you will compute 5 power 3. It means 5 will be multiplied 3 times. 5 into 5. And you will get answer 125. If you are writing the program for this one, then easiest way is, what is easiest way? कोई एक हमको approach बताए, what will the approach of finding x power n?
Using power function.
Using mat dot
Without using power function, POW. Name of function is not power, it is POW in C. Maybe in VB it is POW as power. Visual
Sir,
basic
using
means as
recursion.
power.
So
Yeah,
using for loop.
recursion of
Using power, using recursion, somebody is saying using which loop? कोई
Sir,
loop
for
की
loop.
बात कर रहा है.
For loop, sir.
For loop, sir.
So if you are writing this code, you see, if you are trying to write the code, then first of all you will ask the user to input the value of x. Take a variable
So
x.
in Strassen's method, how did you got the value of P1, P2 and till P7? Is it a
Repeat it.
so in
P1
Strassen's
is given. P1 is given. As I showed to you. Just wait करिए. इसीलिए बोला था कि आप पूछ लीजिए. The user will input the value of A, B, C, D, E. Matrix A, the user will input A, B, C, D values. Matrix B, the user will input. It will be E, F, G, H. And then you will compute P1. And for computing P1, you will write A into within bracket F minus H.
Sir, do we
Then-
have to learn that P1, P2 and everything, or it is by default, or is it by default?
Learn means
Sir, how did you got the value of P1? Like if why it is A F minus H?
it was the mathematician after analyzing the things, he found that if we keep P1 as this, A to F minus H, P2 as this, P3 as this, P4 as D to G minus E.
So how
Similarly,
it was derived?
So it was he computed. Here derivation is not required. It is just the analysis. No derivation is required.
Okay, sir.
He just did the analysis that, and he found that if we keep value of P1, P2, P3, P4 as mentioned in this screen,
Okay, sir.
then instead of using 7 multiplications, we can go for, then instead of using 8 multiplications, we can go for how many multiplications?
7.
7. This was the research paper published by Strassen in the year 1969.
Okay, sir.
And he said that, okay, at one place we were using 8 multiplications. Now if we go for this method, then we will have 7 multiplications. So definitely 7 multiplications, it's better than the 8 one. You even, what's your name? क्या नाम है आपका?
Sir,
नाम बताइए. So Amisa, you can try, like Strassen has gone for 7 multiplications. So you can try for 6 multiplications. You should take 6 variables: P1, A1, A2, A3, A4 up to A6.
Sir, but the complexity remains the same, like bit lower but same almost.
N power 3 rupees is given to your friend, and N power 2.81 rupees are given to you. Who got more money?
Yeah, sir, I understand that.
So you cannot say that it is same. Amisa, किसको ज्यादा पैसा मिलेगा? Yeah, 2 options are there. Let me see that how much wise are you. 2 options are there. First option is I have to give you N power 2.81 rupees. And other one option is I have to give you N power 3 rupees, where value of N you can fix. So which one will
Of
you
course,
take and
n
why?
power 3.
Why? क्यों n power 3 रुपए चाहिए?
Because n power 3 is more than n power 2.8.
Yeah, so if you talk about order, so definitely n power 3 is higher. N power
Yes,
3
sir.
is higher. I hope I clarified it. So should we move forward? Amisa,
Yes, sure, sir. Sure, sir.
ठीक है.
Thank
So now we are moving to this matrix we are moving to computing the value of x power n. So what will you do? You will input the value of x, then you will input the value of n. X you may take float, n you may take integer, and now you will multiply x n times. So if n is 3, means x into x into x, 3 times multiply. If n is 5, means x into x into x into x into x. X will be 5 times multiplied. If n is 2, means only 2 times x will be multiplied. If n is 0, then just you return 1. If n is 1, then you multiply x only once. Or if n is 1, then you return x as the output. I hope up to certain extent the logic is given to you. Now I want that one of you should come to the program. What will be the structure of this program? How will you write it? कितने लोग बता सकते हैं? Raise your hand. Raise your hand for writing x power n. How many of you can write the program? Vijit Biswakarma. Only he can write. हाँ Vijit Biswakarma बताइए. You first raise hand.
Sir, using for loop we can structure.
Yeah, Ruchi Dev से पूछते हैं. Ruchi Dev. You try. What will you do? How will you write? What should I write? चलिए स्क्रीन पे आप जो बोलती जाएंगी वो मैं लिखता जाऊंगा. Void main. Yes, now what should I write? Take declaration of variables. X I declared, N I declared. जल्दी बोलिए. क्या बात है ये? After raising hand में भी हर. चलिए ये आनंद राज you try. गलती से हैंड रेज हो गया है क्या?
नहीं sir.
Sir, can we use power function to compare?
Not at all.
To the program?
Power.
Sir,
Try not
scan
to-
f x and n.
चलिए हमने सी आउट किया. सी आउट और I will say C in X. We are writing then C in N. चलिए these two values I have taken. Then now what should I write? बोलिए.
So we can use for loop.
So
If
first of
N
all,
is 0, देखिए यही सब तो गलती हो रही है आप लोगों से. लॉजिक आप डेवलप नहीं कर रहे हैं. If N is 0, then what will you return?
1.
1 sir.
So you give condition if n equals to 0. ये थोड़ा सा लॉजिक आप डेवलप करिए. Then what will you do? Go for return 1 or printf x into n equal to 1. Next is else if
Sir, instead of
ये दूसरा इफ कंडीशन ले लिए. क्या पॉसिबिलिटी है? तो हम आते हैं फर्स्ट कंडीशन. रुकिए.
Sir, if n equal
सेकंड
to 1.
else if Take next condition.
n
N
equal to
equals to 1.
return
Then what will you return?
return x.
X.
Return x. Next is I am writing else if next condition I am writing else if I am writing n is greater than 1. थोड़ा सा होशियार स्टूडेंट अगर है तो वो क्या करेगा n की वैल्यू नेगेटिव ले लेगा
So less than n.
Yeah. So that will be the part of last else part. This is why I have gone for else if n greater than 1. N greater than 1 means n can be
2, 3.
n can be 2, n can be 3, n can be 4, n can be 5. And last condition I will go for else. Here this is else part. थोड़ा सा time आप लोगों को देना पड़ेगा. Here this is last else part. Else part shows that n is positive or negative.
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 sir.
Negative.
Oh, sorry. Else if
Else if part
Negative.
is
positive.
else if part is showing that n is positive.
Yes, sir.
Else if part is showing that n is positive. But last else part, what does it show?
N is
N
negative.
is
So
negative.
negative.
Is negative. So this should be the way this should be the way. So else if n is greater than 1, it means n is positive. Then what should I write here? What should I write here?
Sir,
What should I
return
write here?
n into function n minus 1.
कोई for loop की बात कर रहा था. So you can write here for I equals to 1, I less than equal to n, I plus plus, and what you write? What you write that I plus plus. What should I write here within for loop?
We will take a variable result and then result equal to result into number.
Result equal to result into
Number.
x.
Sorry, x.
Yes, sir.
And what is the initial value of result?
Sir,
One.
1.
1, sir.
So remember, before for loop, what should you do? You should
Initialize.
say that initial value of, you should initialize result equal to 1. Is it clear or there is any confusion?
Clear, sir.
Clear, sir.
Clear, sir.
Yes,
And after this one, now here you return result. This is about for loop that you have used. This is about for loop you have used. And you see this is else, this is end of else if statement. थोड़ा सा time देना पड़ेगा आप लोगों को, 3 more minutes. This is end of else if statement. This one is it absolutely clear to each one of you? ये clear है or any
Yes,
confusion?
sir. Clear,
Yes, sir.
So now come to the last case. This is also end of else if statement. Now come to the last case, this else statement. else statement, it shows that n is negative. It shows that n is negative. N is negative. So what should I write here? What should I write here?
Sir,
Result equal to.
same as if else part, and we will
We will
return the
divide.
reciprocal of the answer.
Very good. क्या नाम है भाई आपका? नाम बताओ.
Sir, Harsh Govind.
Very good. Well done, Harsh Govind. आपने खुश कर दिया. और कोई तरीका बताए? One way is that you copy the same thing here. Copy the same thing here, and instead of returning the result, what can you return? What can you return?
Reciprocal of result.
You can return the reciprocal of the result. One method was given by this
Sir, or we can, sir, instead
1.0 by 1.0 by result. Any other method?
sir, instead of multiplying, we can divide it, sir.
Very good. क्या नाम है आपका?
Sir, Jishan Ahmed, sir.
Well done, Jisan Ahmad. Instead of multiplying, you can divide it. ठीक है. Very good. Any other method? दो method मिल गया हमको. And then you can, in that situation, you will return the result only. Jisan Ahmad, you want to say it? Any other way? भाई कुछ तो अच्छा लगा. चलिए, at least these two ways you have gone for, and now this is end of else statement. This is end of else statement. Else statement, and after ending, you will end the algorithm also. This is end of main program. This is end of main program. And now what will you do? What will you do? Whatever like result variable you have taken, I you have taken, n you have taken. These variables you define here. X has been taken, n is taken, I has been taken, result has been taken. Result has been taken. At least what you can do, you can take X as float. Any confusion to any one of you in this question?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Sure.
No.
I'm talking
Sir,
about
yes,
whole
sir.
class.
No,
Sir, in the last
Sure,
else,
हाँ, last else क्या है भाई?
yes, sir. In the last else part, sir, we can
And
instead of
remember, this is C program. It is case sensitive. If you
Yes.
declare variable int capital letter X, so int capital letter X, it is one variable, and int small letter X, that is another variable. हाँ, अब बोलिए क्या बोल रहे हैं?
sir, inside for loop, sir, we can, instead of multiplying, we can divide, sir.
हाँ, वो एक जीसान अहमद told it.
Yes, sir.
So आपका क्या नाम है? At least you also replied.
Sir, Jishan.
नाम बताइए.
Sir, Jishan है, sir. हम ही है. Sir, you have divided, sir, that result return part, sir. So that's why I was telling about.
नहीं, that is another case. So
Yes,
if
sir.
you divide it here, that's the same thing. मैंने बोला कि in that situation, you will return the result.
Yes, sir.
आप पहले ही बोल चुके हैं.
Yes.
Anything more?
No,
भाई
sir.
आप लोगों का चेहरा नहीं दिख रहा है, लेकिन आपके वर्ड्स तो हमको दिखाई दे रहे हैं. ठीक है, अभिजीत, anything more you want to add? I think let's end the class.
Yes.
This
No,
is
sir.
the end of class. थोड़ा सा क्लास में आप लोग एक्टिवली पार्टिसिपेट करिए और लैब में भी.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It is required in lab and in lecture classes. हाँ, बोलिए. क्लास टाइम
Sir.
खत्म हो गया, अब आप बाद में बात
Sir.
करिए.
Yes, sir.
हाँ,
Can we code in Java in lab?
कर लो. ये तो लास्ट लैब में. You can use C programming, you can use C++, you can use Java. These three
Sir, अपना
languages.
लैपटॉप कर सकते हैं.
I
sir,
said
lab
that you
में.
can bring your laptop.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
That confusion.
From my side, barrier is not existing. From my
Okay.
side, no barrier. Yes, objective is that I want to see that you are able to run the programs or not. This
Okay.
message is for all of you. Okay, so I have downloaded your attendance. Let me once again download the attendance. And then I am leaving the class. Yeah, I have downloaded it. So thanks to all of you for today's class. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.